Hello and welcome to Clewes Country. Yes, it's another time, another night of 2 hours of country music. So we kicked it off there with Nate Smith, World on Fire, and what a cracking tune that is. I always find a way to get Nate Smith on this show. The song it is. I wanted to be a guest on the show at some point. So Nate, if you're listening, then come on the show for God's sake. What's taking so long? But what a great song it was to kick it off. And we've got more on the way from the likes of Megan Lee. We've got the Cadillac 3. We've got Luke Combs. We've got John Pardy as well. So make sure you stick around for that. We've got 2 hours of it. But today we are back. As always, we've got a guest on the show who well, judging by the conversation, it's been likewise the same way. I've been kind of had my eye on this artist for a while, seeing what's going on, and there's a lot of stuff, good stuff going on. She's very busy. I'd probably say one of the most active and busiest people that I have on my feed right now. But I'm looking forward to chatting to her. She's got a current single is brilliant. I love it so much, which is going to play very, very soon. So please welcome Amy Jo. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. You've interviewed like some of my favorite artists as well. I watched the one you did with Tenil Arts.
Yes.
Uh, the whole thing, it was great. She's lovely. I'd really like to meet her. She seems like a sweetheart.
Yeah.
I'm very honored.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. It's nice to, it's just this is what country music's all about. We love just to talk to the people like-minded. It's great. And Tanil was hilarious, to be fair. She played the game which you're going to be playing very shortly. So I don't know if you remember how she got on, but I'll tell you in a bit. But you're here. You got a latest single called "Caught Me on a Bad Day," which we'll play a little bit later on, which I'm looking forward to talking about. But you are one busy gal. You're all over the place. Talk to me. What you had going on?
I'm tired. I'm definitely having a nap after this.
Yeah.
No, I'm really happy. There's just so much going on. I like to stay busy. I feel like there's always something you could be doing with music. Like there's always something extra that you could do. And I'm probably a little bit toxic with that because I see all the things I could do and I just make a little to-do list and I keep crossing them off. And then sometimes I'm just really tired and I have to take a little breather. But yeah, it's just been packed with like gigs and recording and sort of traveling to different places. Networking, meetings, like a bit of everything. But it's kind of the way I like it. So no
No,
complaints.
no, definitely. Let's take things back to the start. People might not know your story as much then. What's your kind of path into music then?
Oh, I mean, the short film version, because it is a long story. I've been singing since I was 11, 12. But I didn't start writing songs until about 13. My best friend, she came over and taught me a few chords, and we've been listening to Taylor Swift for like years. And she taught me a Taylor Swift song. That night, I wrote my first song, which kind of shows the power of like influences in that sense and how much she influenced me with her music. Because I think she said in her story that someone taught her a few chords,
Hmm.
and she wrote her. So it was kind of a full circle thing going on. And yeah, so I learned my first few chords, started writing songs about really sort of frivolous things because when you're 13, there's not a lot going on
Yeah.
other than like at school. So that
Yeah.
was kind of the topic area that I delved into. And then as I got a bit older, and sort of left school, left sixth form, I ended up sort of working down south a little bit with a label there. And we were kind of going in a bit of an R&B direction, which to be honest, I love R&B as a genre. I really respect it, but it didn't feel authentic. The problem was I didn't know what did feel authentic at
Hmm.
that time. Kind of just I was a singer really, and I was singing all these different styles. I didn't really know what my sound was, so I kind of walked away from that and took a step back. And then I actually had a meeting with a producer, and after one session, he said to me, "You should be singing country." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just see you in that, like that's you." And he kind of knew me more than I knew me at that time because I
Yeah.
was like, "No, no, I'm not into that right now." And I was really convincing myself that I wasn't. I don't know why. And then I got to sort of COVID actually. And I was like, do you know what? I think it was when all the pressure was taken off and I was just sat on my own in this room and started writing songs. And I was like, yeah, I'm so country. Like these songs are country, their story. and I'm just gonna go with it and own it because it is who I am. So that's a short form version of that.
Had you ever thought of, obviously I know you obviously were going down that R&B route in that kind of sense, and you didn't realize that was, but was country kind of there for you already, or until that moment, was it not at all?
Yeah, no, it was like I say, the Taylor Swift influence was
Yeah.
huge. I know she was, whether you could call her country now, but back then, like 2006, 2007, she was country, and I loved that. I loved Leanne Rimes.
Mm,
I loved a lot of the country acts at that time. I just think because it wasn't big here in the UK and it didn't really have much of a scene, I think subconsciously I sort of internalized that and thought, okay, well, there's no outlet for me. Like I can't be country if there's no country. And then I think when it came to COVID, one, the scene had grown so much, but two, I felt like regardless of that, like I'm just gonna be me anyway because there's no
yeah.
point not to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then fast forwards to now and to where you are, you're writing your own music, and obviously they're not a country band, but Scouting for Girls, you're on the bill for that show. Talk to me about
Yeah, that was so fun. I actually supported them. God, it must be like 5 years ago, like this like fluke thing where I got to support them again like 5 years later. But the first time round, I haven't told many people this, and I probably shouldn't, but whatever. I felt really sick the whole day when I did it the first time. So much so that I went on stage feeling awful, went on, did the show, went really well. The second I got off stage, I grabbed a plastic cup from somewhere. I don't know where this cup came from, and just threw up into it.
that.
And I was like, that looks so classy. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I threw up into this cup, and
Yeah.
then a radio station came to interview me like immediately after, and I was like, oh God, I won't mention the throwing up part. And then after that, I didn't feel well enough to watch them perform, so I just had to drive like 3.5 hours home. So this time, I actually watched them perform, and they were amazing. So it was a nice little full circle moment.
No, yeah, definitely, and no illness this time. That's the main thing. You did that all right.
But now, I don't know if it was nerves or travel sick. We'll
Mm.
never.
We'll never know, but I mean, you're right to be nervous. It's Scouting for Girls. Like, it's they're a big deal. Like, did they talk to you much about kind of your music, and did they kind of express any interest in country at all?
The first time I ever spoke to Roy, who's the lead singer, he was
Mm.
such a genuine, nice person. Which is always good because I've always looked up to them, and I think it's nice when you actually see that the people you look up to are nice. Like
Mm.
it's. I think he watched my set this time, like from the side of stage, because when I came off, he was there.
Yeah.
Um, and but no, I didn't get to talk to him about country or anything like that. But that would have been interesting because he writes from a very like narrative perspective. He
Mm.
writes, and yes, they're pop, but they still kind of come from like storytelling.
Yeah. I mean, he wishes he was James Bond just for a day, so
Don't we all?
exactly. Right. I feel like whilst this show is going to be very condensed and you're only on for an hour, I feel like we could probably talk for hours. But we're going to play a game very shortly called Keep Calm and Name Country, which is going to be good. So you got to think of an artist, um, and then you got to name as many songs as you can by that artist in a minute. So have a think you might want to pick. We're going to play some more music, and we've got brand new from Stephen Wilson Jr. on the way. But first, here's a collab that is absolutely storming the country charts at the moment from two guys who, once you say their names together, it definitely makes sense they've got a track out together. This is John Pardy and Luke Bryan with Cowboys and Bad Boys.